So we have a few more vocab words that go along with the concept of a relation, which is what we learned about in our last video. The first two words I'm going to use right here are words that you guys will hear me say all year long in Algebra 2. Domain and range are super important and we use them constantly throughout the entire class. So it's something you will definitely get used to. Domain is a list of all possible input values in a problem, and range is going to be all possible output or y values in the problem. So domain is a list of all the x's we use, and range is all the y's that we're going to use in a problem. And keeping those two things straight is going to be really important. The last vocab word for this video is called a function, and a function is a type of relation. So we learned about relations last video. Remember, that means there's going to be two variables where no inputs or x's repeat. So your x's are not allowed to repeat when you have a function. Notice this says nothing about outputs. We don't care about y at all. We just look at the x's and see if any of them are going to repeat. So I'm going to make up a random table of numbers right here, just a relation to get us started, and then we'll fill out our vocab based on that. So let's say I had 7, -3. Let's say it was -2, 5, and then it was 1, -3. This is going to be my first example. First thing I'm going to do is list out the domain for my problem. So they give you a little relation right there. If they say, hey, what's the domain for this relation? You're going to make a list of all the x values. And remember from the last video, when you make a list, we use like the squiggly brackets like that. And when you put the numbers in your list, put them in ascending order, which means least to greatest. So my smallest number is a -2, and then I have a +1, and then I have a +7, and I close my squiggly brackets. So when I did that right there, I put my numbers from least to greatest, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and list out the range for this problem right here. And again, when you do range, put the numbers in order from least to greatest. I'm making a list. I have -3. And also, when you list out numbers, you don't write the repeats multiple times. So I'm only going to write -3 the one time, even though it happens twice right there. I just have -3 and 5. So when you write out the list of numbers right there, don't repeat the numbers. Okay, so this is my domain and this is my range for the problem. The last thing I want to do with this example is look and see if it's going to be a function. Make that decision here. Remember, a function means none of your x's repeats. I do have this -3 that happens twice, but that's a y. I don't care about that at all. I look at my x's. All of those are different numbers, so that means this is going to be a function because my x's do not repeat. I'm going to make up one more example in this video here, and just another random table of numbers. So let's go ahead and draw another input-output chart right here. This time we're going to go with 3, 12, -7, 1, and then -7, 4. So on this example here, you can already probably tell this is not going to be a function, but let's go ahead and list out our info. Our domain, the x's, are -7, and then that repeats, so I don't write that again, and then +3. Our range, again going from least to greatest, I see a 1, a 4, and a 12. And finally, on this problem right here, my x value of -7 repeats. That means it is not a function. This relation does not count as a function.